Hey tribe, welcome back. In this video, we're going to talk about the great secret of success. And this is by Neville Goddard. And right now I'm in the book, The Power of Awareness. I'm in chapter 6. Chapter 6 is on attention. And by Neville Goddard's words, this is the great secret of success, is being able to develop and hold your attention basically long periods of time. So what I want to do, this chapter was filled just with meat and potatoes. So I want to read this chapter with you. Of course, I am going to give you my words of wisdom here and there, but let's get started. So chapter 6, attention. A double-minded man is unstable in all his ways. James chapter 1, verse 8. Attention is a forceful in proportion to the narrowness of its focus. That is, when it is obsessed with a single idea or sensation, it is steadied and powerfully focused only by such an adjustment of the mind as it permits you to see one thing only. For you steady the attention and increase the power by confining it. The desire which realizes itself is always a desire upon which attention is exclusively concentrated, for an idea is endowed with power only in proportion to the degree of attention fixed on it. Concentrated observation is the attentive attitude directed from some specific end. The attentive attitude involves selection. For when you pay attention, it signifies that you have decided to focus your attention on one object or state rather than another. Now, we're going to dig deep here a little bit because one of the things that kind of stood out to me when I read this chapter, and like I said before, I've read these chapters many times before, but one of the things that stands out is that when many people teach Neville Goddard, they teach, you have to develop your attention, but lots of times they focus on the bedtime routine. Like you lay down, before you go to sleep at night, you go inside your imagination and you try to hold your attention. You just basically keep on replaying and replaying that imaginal scene in your mind until you drift off to sleep. Okay. But in this chapter, Neville, that's one way to, when we talk about the bedtime routine, that's one way to develop your attention. But really in this chapter, in my opinion, Neville is really talking about your 3D world. As you go on throughout your day, what are you focusing on? Okay, are you laser focused on your attention? Are you laser focused on imagination creates reality? Okay, are you laser focused on what you want? Okay. And if you're laser focused on what you want, that's the only thing that should be in your attention. That's the only thing you're bringing attention to. That's the only thing you're thinking about. And you're ignoring everything else around you that's not important. Okay. Now, because this kind of goes down the rabbit hole a little bit, that yes, we can't ignore everything around us, but what Neville Goddard means, when you ignore things around you, you don't bring emotion to it. I mean, just like my example I give all the time, you're getting ready for work, it's in the morning, you look all sexy, you look all beautiful to go to work, you walk outside to get in your car, and as you walk outside, you see your back tire is flat as flat. I mean, you can't get more flatter than a flat tire. So in that instance, what's your state? What are you thinking about in that instance? Do you kind of flip out in your mind? Does that wreck your whole day, your whole week, your whole month? Do you go down a rabbit hole of saying, oh my God, this threw off my budget for the entire month? This stuff always happens to me. Okay. And maybe you're doing this out loud and maybe you're not. Maybe you're doing it internally. Okay. Or are you just looking at it? You're dealing with it. You're calling work and stating what happened, that you're going to be late, or maybe you can't come in. Then you call the tire shop that you're going to come and get a tire, or where to take your car, whatever. You call AAA to come put your spare on so you can drive your car to get your tire fixed. No matter how you handle it, you bring no emotion to it. And then you just think that, hey, this was meant to be. This was meant to keep me off the roads. It meant to keep me safe. That way I'm not involved with an accident. See, so that's what Neville Goddard's meaning, is that Yes, we ignore what's going on around us, but a lot of things we have to deal with. We still have to deal with it. We still have to do it, but you don't bring any emotion to it. You just do it. Okay. But your main attention, your main goal is your desire, your wish fulfilled. That's what all your energy is focused on. And when all your energy is focused on this develops your attention, and this develops how long you can stay in that state. Besides your mind drifting all over the place. So let's kind of move on here. Therefore, when you know what you want, you must deliberately focus your attention on the feeling of your wish fulfilled until that feeling fills the mind and crowds all other ideas out of consciousness. And I feel like Neville has basically stated this paragraph almost in every single chapter. We're on chapter 6 right now. And he's pretty much saying the same thing, but he's moving things around, and he's digging deeper, a little bit deeper in each chapter of Out of the Power of Awareness. But I'll read this one more time because this is really the meat and potatoes, and then we'll kind of move on to the great secret of success. Therefore, when you know what you want, when you know you want that dream house, that dream car, when you know you want to be a millionaire, you know you want to help people, give to charities, whatever you desire, whatever you want, when you know what you want, you must deliberately focus your attention on the feeling of the wish fulfilled. You're going inside your imagination, and you're actually living from it. You're doing it. Okay, you're living that way. You're not seeing yourself living that way as a third person. You're actually doing it, doing what you want. You're doing your desire. And you live in that feeling of the wish fulfilled until that feeling fills your mind and crowds all other ideas out of your consciousness. So Neville Goddard was saying it kind of fancy, but basically, this is what you really want. This is kind of going back to Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich. You have to have a burning desire to know what you want. And you have a burning desire, nothing else fills that space. This is what you want to do. This is what you want, and nothing else is drawing you away from it. The power of your attention is the measure of your inner voice, not voice, force. The power of your attention is the measure of your inner force. Concentrated observation on one thing shuts out other things and causes them to disappear. The great secret of success. Now, this is where the great secret of success comes in, which is really developing your attention. The great secret of success is to focus your attention on the feeling of the wish fulfilled without permitting any distraction. Now, this may sound easy, but sometimes it sounds more easier than what it really is. Okay, just because, especially if you are used to, you're not in control of your thoughts, your habits, you're not in control of what you're thinking about. You're basically going with the flow through life. Whatever you think about, whatever, how you feel, you just go with it. You're angry, you're sad, you're happy. And this is why what's manifesting your life. This is what is making you feel stuck. So the great secret of success is to focus your attention on the feeling of the wish fulfilled without permitting any distraction. Okay. All progress depends upon an increase of attention. The ideas which impel you to action are those which dominate the consciousness, those which possess the attention. Now, right now we're right here, and Neville says, this one thing I do, forgetting those things that are behind, I press toward the mark. This means this one thing you can do, forgetting those things that are behind, you can press toward the mark of filling your mind with a feeling of the wish fulfilled. To the unenlightened man, pretty much he's saying, like, people who don't believe it, people think, oh, this is hogwash. I don't believe that stuff. Okay. This will seem to be all fantasy, yet all progress comes from those who do not take the accepted view, nor accept the world as it is. I mean, isn't it funny when Neville says this? Isn't it funny how it's not that people like teach us this. It's not, but I think it's taught to us indirectly because we hear so many people say this kind of stuff. And the older we get, the more times we hear it is that just accept it. Just accept the world how it is. That's how the world is, Chad. This is your life. This is the life that God gave you. It's like it's basically they're saying you're not in charge. Okay. Okay. Your life, you got dealt a deck of cards that you didn't choose, that you didn't want, and you just have to deal with it. Okay. This is most people's view. That's what I'm trying to say. And that's what Neville Goddard kind of means. And now back up here. Listen, to the unenlightened man, this will seem to be all fantasy, yet all progress comes from those who do not take the accepted view, nor accept the world as it is. And that's what he's telling you. You don't have to accept things for how it is because you can 100% change it. And how you change it, studying Neville Goddard here and the power of awareness, you change it as your imagination creates reality. You're living in your wish fulfilled all day long. Okay. You're bringing your attention to it. You're just focused on what you want. You can change reality 100%. You don't have to accept the world how it is. You don't have to accept life, what life dealt you. You can change it 100%. And as was stated heretofore, if you can imagine what you please, and if the forms of your thoughts are as vivid as the forms of nature, you are by virtue the power of your imagination, master of your fate. Hey friends, just a quick little intermission here and we'll jump right back to the video. But if you're really trying to figure this stuff out, if you're really trying to live life on your terms, you really need to check out the description, because in the description is where I keep all the nuggets and all the resources. If you're new here, start right here. We got stuff like the power drops, which is totally free, by the way. We got the 30-day challenge. And of course, if you want to be part of the tribe, the link is here. And if you want to try to work with me, the link is right here as well. Like I said, my friends, if you really want to try to make this stuff happen, if you really want to live life on your terms, always keep up to date with the description, because that's where all the nuggets are. Other than that, let's get back to the video. Your imagination is you, yourself, and the world as your imagination sees it is the real world. So Neville is kind of, sometimes when I read this, sometimes even when I read it, I kind of stumble over it and I'm like, what did I just read? Trying to put in some funny stuff here, keep you guys awake. But listen, I'll read it one more time. Your imagination is you, yourself, and the world as your imagination sees it is the real world. So what Neville is saying is, if you can see it in your imagination, it can manifest into your reality. 100%. Okay, that's what he's saying. Your imagination is the real world, and this is how you bend reality. Okay, what you see in your imagination and you accept it as true, you assume it to be true for you, it has to come into your reality. Bottom line, when you set out to master the movements of attention, which must be done if you would successfully alter the course of observed events, it is then you realize how little control you exercise over your imagination and how much it is dominated by sensory impressions and by drifting on the tides of idle moods. Now, this right here, this was kind of just full of nuggets right here. I'll read it to you one more time. Listen to this. When you set out to master your movements of attention, you set out to be the master of your fate, the captain of your soul. You're steering your ship of life. Okay, you're done playing around at this point. But listen, which must be done if you would successfully alter the course of absurd events, it is then you realize how little control you exercise over your imagination and how much it is dominated by sensory impressions. Okay, listen to this. He's tying in sensory impressions, that meaning that your imagination is dominated by you living from it. Okay, when we went through the last chapter, we talked a lot about you living from it, meaning that you're actually experiencing what you want inside your imagination. So you're bringing in your five senses. You're bringing in see, hear, smell, taste, touch. Okay, and if you listen to Neville Goddard, if you really study Neville Goddard, you know what I'm saying is true. So this is how you kind of put your imagination on steroids a little bit, is because you make it all sensory. Okay, for example, like if I'm at the beach, let's say you want to have a beach house, and you can imagine yourself walking out of your beach house, walking out, and you can see the beach. You walk right down to the beach. But if you live by the beach, you're going to feel the breeze on your face. Okay, you're bringing in sensory involvement inside your imagination, like you're really there, you're really doing it. When you walk in the sand, is the sand hot? Is it cold? Is it wet? Because you can feel the sand in your feet. The sand will go in between your toes. We've all been to the beach where the sand is burning hot, and once we step out in the sand, it burns our feet, and we're kind of running across the sand to get into the ocean. Okay, as we get closer to the ocean, you can actually smell the water, the ocean. You can actually smell the salt, like in the air. I mean, sometimes you can smell the fish. Okay, depending upon if fish was kind of washed up on the shore. Okay, this is bringing in your sensory involvement, or all your senses, and this is what makes it real, like you're really experiencing it inside your imagination. So this is why he says sensory impressions. And then he goes on and he says, and by a drifting of the tides of your idle moods, meaning that your mind is just all over the place. Okay. If something happens, you get mad and you overreact. Okay. If a friend says something wrong to you, or you take it as a negative, or you misunderstand it, you're ready to jump down their throat. Okay, you kind of wear your feelings on your shoulders. Okay, just like when I gave you the flat tire example, you overreact when it comes time to pay your bills. You have a mental breakdown because you got to pay your bills. You know what I mean? You're kind of it's almost like your emotions are all over the place, but I hate to say emotions, because that's basically what's happening. Is you're trying to stay on this one line. This is your desire. This is your attention. This is what you really want. But what you're really doing is when you get a flat tire, you go over here and you spend all your time over here dealing with this flat tire. You bring in so much emotion to it, so much energy around it, so much negative energy around it. And you could be over here for a day, a week, a month. Then you talk about it 3 months down the road, you still talk about it. So besides staying focused, you're just all over. You're just letting other things kind of take your energy, steal your joy, rather than staying laser focused exactly on what you want, exactly your desire. That's what Neville Goddard is talking about here. Listen, to aid in mastering the control of your attention, practice this exercise. Night after night, just before you drift off to sleep, strive to hold your attention on the activities of the day, but in reverse order. Focus your attention on the last thing you did, that is, getting into bed, and then move from it backward in time over the events until you reach the first event of the day, getting out of bed. Now, this is no easy exercise. I mean, this is actually a hard exercise. I've tried it. So this is not an easy exercise, but just as specific exercises greatly help in developing specific muscles. This will greatly help in developing the muscle of your attention. Your attention must be developed, controlled, and concentrated in order to change your concept of yourself successfully and thereby change your future. Listen to what he said. Like, this is a golden nugget right in the middle of this paragraph. Your attention must be developed, controlled, and concentrated in order to change the concept of yourself, in order to change your self-image, how you view yourself, how you accept yourself, what you accept to be true about you, successfully, and thereby change your future. Imagination is able to do anything, but only according to the internal direction of your attention. If you persist night after night, sooner or later, you will awaken in yourself a center of power and become conscious of your greater self, the real you. Attention is developed by repeated exercise or habit. Through habit, an action becomes easier, and so in course of time gives rise to the facility or faculty, which can then be put to higher uses. When you attain control of your internal direction of your attention, you will no longer stand in shallow water, but you will launch out into the deep of life. You will walk in the assumption of your wish fulfilled as a foundation more solid than the earth. And I love this as we wrap this up, what Neville said right here, the end of chapter 6. You will walk in the assumption of your wish fulfilled. Remember, your assumption means what you assume to be true for you. And your wish fulfilled is your desire, and you're going inside your imagination. You're living from it. You're actually doing it. Okay. You already have it. Okay. That's why I give you examples. You already have, if you want your dream house, you already have it. How would you be reacting and living, carrying yourself? What would you be doing day to day? If you already have your dream house, you already have it. You're not trying to get it. You're not figuring out how you got it. You're not figuring out how did I afford it? Where did I get the down payment? No. Okay, you're going down to Howville. Okay, you already have it. So how would you be living right now today? And I love how he says, this is the foundation more solid than even earth. But other than that, tribe, friends, YouTube fam, let's kind of wrap this up, because the one thing I kind of said in the beginning, and let's wrap up the beginning to the end here. One of the things that kind of I walked away with when I read this is that developing your attention is actually in your 3D world. It's not only inside your imagination, like how long I can hold the imaginal scene in my mind. Yes, that's developing my attention too, but it's also developing my attention in my 3D world, meaning in my waking world. When I'm awake 12, 13, 14, 15 hours a day, I need to control Chad. I need to control my mind. I need to control the ship. And the way to do it is to control my attention, paying attention to, being aware of like my thoughts, my thinking habits, if I'm murmuring, complaining throughout the day, what I really focus on. Am I easily distracted? Okay, I'm focusing on my desire. I'm focusing on my wish fulfilled, what I really want. And how easy do I get distracted? How easy do I let circumstances of life take control of me rather than me control the circumstances of life, my friends? Okay. So that's really what I walked away with, is not letting, kind of say it more practical, is not letting their circumstances of life control me. Okay. No matter if it's a flat tire, walk around it, bring it no emotion. You have to deal with it. Yes, I got to buy a new tire, get a new tire. But other than that, I bring no emotion to it. Okay. I don't go inside my mind like, oh my God, it's wrecking my budget. Okay. If someone wants to borrow money, it's yes or no. It doesn't affect me. Okay. If I go to buy groceries, I developed this affirmation when I used to go buy groceries all the time, go to the grocery stores. I would walk around and say to myself, I can buy anything I want in here. Every time I spend money, money comes back to me double. If I let someone borrow money, if they don't pay me back, so what? I'm repaid by 7 times. Okay, you say this stuff so much that it becomes true, because it starts to become a subconscious habit. And once it's a subconscious habit, your subconscious mind accepts it as true. So it changes your reality. You can see how it changes your reality. It changes your 3D world to the concept you have about yourself, about money, around everything around you. But the biggest thing here is stop reacting to little things in life that really, with the grand scheme of things, have very, very little power over you. Stop giving it so much power. But other than that, my friends, tribe, YouTube fam, thanks for hanging in. Make sure you comment below, because I love to hear your questions. If you want to dig deeper in this stuff, comment questions below. I help you guys out. But I also love to kind of see what you think about this stuff, okay? Because a lot of you out there, you've been studying Neville Goddard also. You've been doing this stuff for a long time. So I mean, we all can help each other out. And because this is a community, Live Life Your Terms is a community. We're all here to help each other. We're all from different neck of the woods, okay? We all have our own junk to kind of go through, but we're all trying to strive to live life on our terms. Do have anything that we want. Okay, that's the whole goal here. But other than that, my friends, remember, I love you guys, and I'll see you in the next video.